Hello dear learners. Today we are going to start a very interesting journey of residential design. Design is something which is very natural to each and every one of us. Since the moment we are born, we are living in a world in which design is all around of us. Today we are going to start an interesting lecture series of residential design. I am architect Mansha Samreen from K.R. Mangalam University, Sona Road, Gurugram. Dear learners, let's begin on this journey of residential design. Today, we are going to start a basic introduction of residential design. Design is a process. It's not a one-day thing that it can happen quickly in a moment of time. It requires patience, perseverance, and a learning approach and methodology which would enable you to learn this art of designing. Residence, or as we all know, house, is something we all live in. So dear learners, let us begin this journey of residential design. Let us understand why is residential design important. We all live somewhere. Our homes shape our comfort, habits, and even our happiness. Design meets daily life. Light in your bedroom, circulation in your living room, the comfort of your balcony. These are all design decisions you will now understand when you do this course with me. Power of small choices enable you to make big differences. Even a small window placed correctly or the right material used can transform a house into home. It shapes the future from sustainable housing to smart homes. The way we design residences or homes today will define tomorrow's future and the lifestyle. Have you ever wondered why your house feels the way it does? By the end of this course, you will start seeing every home, including your own, with an eye of a designer. Think about this. How does your home speak to you? Observe where light enters your room. Notice which spaces feel most private, which feels most public, where you can spend your time on your own without thinking what others will think about. Reflect. Does your home show your family traditions? Every family comes with a history and a lineage of traditions, and home is a venture where all these traditions are reflected thoroughly. A house has a lot of functions, so let's discuss. A house is not just a physical structure made of walls and roof. It plays multiple roles in our lives. Beyond just providing shelter, it supports our psychological comfort, shapes our social interaction, carries cultural meanings, and even serves as economic assets. There are 5 main aspects of functions of a house: physical, psychological, social, cultural, and economic functions. Physical functions comprises mainly of providing shelter and protection from the climate and climatic disasters. Psychological functions brings a sense of belonging, privacy, and security to the homeowners. Social function gives a family bonding, social interaction spaces, and a life to live socially. After all, man is a social animal. It gives a cultural aspect. It reflects on traditions, rituals, and gives us a way of life to live in. The economic factors are also an important function of any house or a residence. It is an investment because it has a cost and has an asset value. So all these 5 pillars are something which makes the house or a residence function. So while designing as designers, we have to take care of all these 5 pillars which will become the basic concept of the home designing. Let us discuss on evolution of housing, how housing developed to early civilizations right from 1200 BC to 3rd century, starting from food hunters to food gatherers. The human civilization has seen shelters become houses. Earlier, man was just a food gatherer and hunter, and the shelters were not permanent at all. As the civilizations developed, we saw these functions becoming more appropriate and static. In flood-prone regions, stilt houses were developed to protect homes from rising water level. Yurts were created as portable dwellings to suit the lifestyle of nomadic cultures. In ancient Rome, villas, domus and insulae were introduced, reflecting urban density, social hierarchy and organized living. The period also saw the rise of tower blocks, considered the first example of multi-story residential housing. In the medieval region starting from 9th to the 19th century, the Middle East structures like Madhif in Iraq and carved caves provided shelter that adapted to local climate and culture. In China, the Tolu emerged as large fortified communal houses designed for extended families. Across Asia and Europe, we can see caravanserais and timber-framed houses that served traders and townsfolk for centuries. Mobile living also developed, with Vardo wagons becoming homes on wheels for the nomadic groups and tribes. By the 19th century, standardized housing models began to appear, making a shift toward modern residential design. As the introduction of housing was started, we can also come to the factor that industrialization played a very important role in evolution of housing. The industrial and the modern era can be taken from the 20th century onwards. The industrial revolution created demand for public housing in the 1920s. Built for factory and industrial workers, the Industrial Revolution created a huge demand for the housing needs as the population began to migrate from villages to the cities at a huge scale. Prefabricated housing gained popularity, offering speed and efficiency in construction. Experimental structures like geodesic domes and styrofoam domes appeared during the 1950s and 70s, exploring the lightweight alternatives. By the 1900s, shipping container homes showcased recycling and adaptability in the housing design. This era transformed housing into a blend of mass production, innovation, and affordability. Just as housing across the world has evolved with time, evolution of housing in India followed a very unique journey. India is a nation which has a huge amount of population, and the journey of India has been shaped by climate, culture and traditions, as well as the demands of population growth and urbanization. From vernacular homes rooted in local identity to modern, smart and sustainable residences, Indian housing reflects both continuity and change. From vernacular traditions, we can see the examples from the Havelis of Rajasthan, which are built around large courtyard, making it climate responsive in hot and dry regions of the west. In Kerala, the Nalukettu features a central courtyard and sloping tilted roofs designed to manage the heavy rainfall. These Banga houses of Kutch and circular and compact, making them earthquake resistant in seismic zone. In the northeast, bamboo houses are often built on stilts, providing protection from floods and wild animals together. Across rural India, mud houses and stone houses have been traditional, using locally available materials for insulation and strength. Colonial and industrial era housing in India showcased bungalows of colonial period, which were spacious homes with verandas and gardens designed for comfort and leisure. The colonial planning left behind a legacy of bungalows, cantonments and planned neighborhoods that influenced later urban design. Cantonment layouts introduced wide roads, tree-lined avenues and abundant greenery, reflecting British planning ideas. In Mumbai, chawls emerged as compact worker housing, built to accommodate the influx of labourers during industrial growth. Together, these forms mark a tradition in India's housing from traditional vernacular dwellings to more formalized urban patterns. After independence, the Government of India launched housing schemes such as LIG and MIG housing, as well as slum clearances and improvement programs. There were a strong emphasis on developing planned cities and townships to accommodate the rapid urban growth. Examples include DDA colonies in India and Sitco townships in Navi Mumbai, which provided organized urban housing. Housing shifted towards standardized flats and plotted developments, making layouts more uniform. Institutional housing also expanded, with PSU townships and IIT campuses offering self-contained residential environments. In large metropolitan cities, apartments and high-rise living have become the most common housing type, accommodating dense urban population. Gated communities offer modern amenities, landscape spaces and a sense of security for residents. So, from the post-independent India, the contemporary India housing had a drastic change, where large metropolitan cities, apartments and high-rise living showcase the modern outlook and approach to the housing demand in India. So, as designers, it becomes our responsibility to understand what are the needs of the growing and India that is becoming more prominent in urbanization and modernization. Smart homes are emerging with automation and IoT technologies, enabling remote control lighting, appliances and security systems. Affordable housing remains a priority throughout schemes like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana and initiatives such as in situ developments of slums. There is a growing focus on sustainable and green housing using rainwater harvesting, solar panels and energy efficient materials. In vulnerable areas, disaster resilient housing is being promoted, designed to withstand earthquakes, cyclones and floods. From vernacular homes rooted in tradition to today's smart and sustainable residences, Indian housing reflects the nation's cultural diversity, socio-economic shifts and rapid urbanization and transformation of the housing demands of India. The key drivers are urbanization and migration to cities, technology and prefabrication, globalization which is leading to lifestyle changes and aspirations. India is experiencing rapid urbanization and population growth, leading to increased pressure on housing in cities. There is a major shortage of affordable housing, especially for the economically weaker sections, despite the initiatives like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Growing demand for sustainable and climate responsive housing that addresses environmental concerns and rising energy costs are something which has to be looked by all the designers. The influence of global trend is visible in form of gated communities, high-rise apartments and integrated townships becoming popular in metropolitan areas. Housing reflects social cultures. From joint families living in shared courtyard to compact nuclear families and modern apartments, housing reflects how the society is evolving. It is a reflection of the society. It shows economic status, the difference between affordable housing, chawls and slum clusters versus luxury villas and gated communities. It expresses cultural identity, regional building materials, construction techniques and traditions are visible in housing forms. With urbanization, housing in India has shifted from spacious courtyard houses to dense apartment and high-rise living. Dear learners, it is now time to pause and think. What were our cultural requirements? How the courtyards converted into high-rise living? Now it's the time for the designers to think and take this decision. What to choose, how to do and what is right. So the key takeaways from today's session would be the way people live in their home is often mirrored of the society and what is happening around them. They just not live in their house. A house is never in isolation. People around in the society are seeing the things which are happening around them. They are learning from what is happening around them and then they are trying to implement all those factors into their house designs. Housing is most relatable building and fulfills physical, psychological, social and cultural functions. These functions are something which has to be embedded in all of the design. Design is not just a one-day thing. It is a process which involves all the stakeholders. So, housing which is most relatable is the one which is appreciated by the homeowners and we as designers are using that as a challenge in today's designing era and design world. Housing has evolved with society globally and in India. Indian housing system is not a stand-alone entity. It goes throughout and it refers to what is happening in and around the world. With the technology and the internet affecting all of our decisions, the AI affecting all our thoughts and processes, housing is not just left isolated. The type of house, the type of drawing room it will have, the type of bedroom it will have, the type of kitchen it will have, the type of lighting it will have are all now affected by the Western and modernization. Everybody wants the best for them. So, as designers, we need to take care of our user who is going to live in that house and what are his choices. Current scenario shows that urban growth, affordability and sustainability is a major challenge while designing. And house being the first step of an architectural process for any of the architectural designer is the first and basic project that any of us get. So, this factor of sustainability is something which has to be taken in mind while designing of any residential housing. Residential design is the foundation of architecture, education and practice. And as designers, we have a lot of responsibility. It is not just that we design what we like. We need to think about the user, what that user is demanding, what he is demanding is right. So, identifying from right and wrong is also the responsibility of the designer. The house shelters daydreaming, the house protects the dreamer, the house allows one to dream in peace is a quote given by Gaston Bachelard, and he is somebody who takes the housing as a requirement not just of a person but of a tradition, culture and family. Thank you, dear learners. Next session would be on the human factors and space standards. Thank you for listening. See you in the next session.